Hello, my name is James Demers, and I use he, him pronouns. This week, we are celebrating the Trans Day of Visibility, and often I find myself thinking about how much of a double-edged sword this day can be. We're often told that visibility is the goal, that if people see us, they'll understand us. And there is power in taking up space and telling our stories. But in a climate where our lives are being funneled through a lens of misinformation, our visibility is often weaponized and used as a tool for harassment or a reason for others to project their own selfish anger onto us. Visibility without protection isn't a gift. As many of us know, it's a risk. It can bring us both fully into the world and introduce us to our potential, rewarding our fears with personal growth, love, and community. And it can also be a violation of our privacy. It can change our sense of safety and massively impact our experiences, even in some of those same places where we would have found affirmation under different circumstances. Gender diverse people always know where the exits are in every room because we need to. For many of us, that kind of exposure happens in the most mundane of places. It's the calculation that we make before walking into a rec center or a library or catching an Uber for a first date, maybe interviewing for a new job. We know that the reality of being visible isn't enough for us to not be questioned in a public space, passed over for a promotion, or pushed out of a community just for becoming who we are. And it can be an exhausting way to live, navigating a government that treats our presence as a debate for its own gain, rather than embracing the ways in which gender diverse people make this city, this province, and this world better every day. Trans history, which often centers on ordinary people faced with extraordinary circumstances, is also where this story begins, held within an experience that is common to many of us. In 2009, Rachel Crandall Crocker, a therapist in Michigan, was mulling over the fact that the only time trans people tended to gather was as a community to mourn our dead on the Trans Day of Remembrance, an important annual event, but with a specific focus. Rachel knew exactly what it cost to be seen. She'd been fired from her hospital job and lost her home after she transitioned. And she understood that visibility was being used against us, but also knew that grief could not be our only avenue for telling the story of our lives. She sat down at her computer and started reaching out to local organizers and began planning a day to focus on the living and thriving trans people that she loved. To create a moment where we could not only be seen as a tragedy or a tool for bad faith political debate, but to be celebrated in all of our complex and dignified humanity. Because it is not just that we exist, we are contributors to how the world evolves and have been since the dawn of time. In more recent history, we celebrate and stand in gratitude for gender diverse people like Dr. James Berry, the surgeon who invented and performed the first successful C-section in 1826, and Dr. Alan L. Hart, who in 1937 gave us the X-ray and a path to fighting tuberculosis. There's Polly Murray, who in the 1950s built the legal blueprints for the civil rights movement alongside people like Bayard Rustin and Martin Luther King Jr. And of course, there have always been iconic performers like Jackie Shane, who was a soul music pioneer who topped the charts in 1962 while refusing to hide who she was. And of course, we can't miss Wendy Carlos, the godmother of electronic music, who changed the sound of the entire world in 1968. There is Lynn Conway and Sophie Wilson, who in the 70s and 80s designed microchips and processors that give us today's personal computers and the smartphone. Dr. Ben Bears in the 1990s revolutionized everything we know about how the human brain heals itself. And then in 1999, Lana and Lily Wachowski redefined the very language of science fiction, giving us a vision of the world that still shapes how we see reality and how we make movies today. And all of this is what today is really about. For gender diverse people, it's about refusing the shame that others try to project onto us. It's about celebrating every day that we are here without excuse, apology, or exception. For our allies, it's about standing up in loud, unwavering, and explicit solidarity. It is about ruining family dinner to fight for the dignity of your neighbors, friends, partners, and children. It is active, and it is a marathon, not a sprint. So, no matter what the forces of hatred and division levy against us, our dignity and worth as a community is not up for debate. The most radical thing about us isn't that we are brave, it is that we are here, living lives that are full, vivid, and deeply human. Visibility is about the simple things. It's the sound of your friend using your name for the first time. It's found family dinners where you can let your guard down. It's the joy of playing sports. It's the creative alchemy of making art. And it's the vulnerability of falling in love. It is about the quiet peace of a Saturday morning when you finally feel at home in your own skin. And that's the goal, the trans agenda, if you will. To live a long, happy life, one full of friends, family, and the kind of joy that isn't afraid of a little bit of messiness and maybe has room for more glitter than you originally thought. Every moment of joy is a victory. It is proof that not only we belong here exactly as we are, but it is grounded in the truth that we have always been here. And so today, whether you are keeping your peace or standing under the lights, know that you are part of this. You are with us. We are here for you, celebrating the ordinary, brilliant moments of everything that you are building all around you. Happy Trans Day of Visibility. Thank you for being you.